All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 2 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220. Got that so far? Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. And of course, this is the X Zone Broadcast Network. Joining me tonight is my good friend Paul Dale Roberts, and we're going to be talking about the Coachella Valley in California because apparently it is super haunted. And joining me now is Paul Dale Roberts. And Paul, welcome back.
Hey, Rock. Thank you for having me. Yes, we're going to talk about Coachella Valley. It is like really mysterious. It's almost like in the category of Skinwalker Ranch, because there's just so much going on over there. And they have a place over there called the Julian Gold Rush Hotel, and it's haunted by the previous deceased owner named Albert. And it was built like in the 1920s. And Albert will, like, if you're looking in the mirror, he's going to sneak up behind you, and you're going to see him right behind you. And a lot of locals and a lot of tourists have actually seen Albert in the mirror. And he'll just kind of sneak up on you. He's a real scary guy. And if you smell pipe smoke, that means Albert is coming.
Ooh.
And he'll have a pipe in his hand. And what is kind of interesting, Albert was, he was making some good money when he was living there because he had that hotel. But he also, too, had another hotel called the Palomar Inn. And that was built in the 1920s. And guess what? Albert is also seen at this hotel. So he goes to both hotels to this very day.
Paul, how is it possible that a ghost can be in two places at one time?
Albert doesn't seem like he has any problem doing that. but I've had paranormal investigations in which a certain type of ghost will be seen in one area.
Yeah.
And then you go to another building and that ghost is in another area. Also, too, any object that contains the spiritual energy of that deceased person, that person as a ghost can go from point A to point B because its energy is contained on some object. Case example, there was a lady who bought a grandfather's clock at an antique shop. And she brought the grandfather's clock to her home. All of a sudden, her kitchen drawers were opening on its own. Kitchen cabinets would open. The TV would click off and on. She would hear footsteps. She would hear grumbling noises. So she was really concerned about this and talked to a parapsychologist. And she said she told the parapsychologist that she recently went to an antique store and bought this grandfather's clock and brought it home. The parapsychologist told her to take that grandfather's clock, get her monies back, bring it back to the antique shop. Well, she did, and the haunting stopped. So that tells me right there, anything that I'm really attached to, and if I touch it a lot, and look at it a lot or whatever, my energy will be contained around that object. And if I take that object and place it in another home, when I die, I can haunt my house because I lived here, but I can haunt their house because now they have something of mine.
Well, why would somebody want to stick around and haunt a house? Why wouldn't they want to go to heaven or go to the other side where they can relax in the rest of eternity, or unless they are part of the reincarnation group and they get back kicked to earth?
Well, like when I kick the bucket, Rob, I'm going to stick around for a while just to mess with people. But, but sometimes people who pass away, they don't go into the light. And if they do go in the light, you're never going to see them again. That's it. But they don't go into the light because they have unfinished business. It could be like the grandmother sees her granddaughter having a baby, so she wants to stick around and be an angel to that baby. Also, too, some people who were very religious in life, they know that they sinned at some point in time, or many times for all I know.
Right.
And they feel like they're going to be judged. So they're scared to go into the light because they think they're going to be judged. Their sins are going to be, they're going to be confronting their sins and wind up going to hell. And so some of my investigations, we've gotten EVPs which indicate that. There was this one house, and we received this EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. And I said, why don't you go into the light? And said, I'm scared. I'm scared. So that's telling me that ghost is probably scared to go into the light because she felt like she was going to be judged.
But what would happen, Paul, if somebody's an atheist and they don't believe in heaven, God, hell? What happens to them when they die?
I don't know, Rob. They may just stick around. I don't know. I never had really a situation like that.
Do ghosts ever just vanish and they're never seen again, or are they doomed to haunt the world until the end of time?
Well, it seems like if they go into the light, they don't come back. We've had situations where I do a Roman Catholic house blessing.
Okay.
And that's my main purpose, is send them into the light. And I've had occupants, the people that live in those homes, tell me that the ghost never came back. So they went into the light and that was it. Wow. So wherever they go to, another dimension, heaven, wherever they go, they don't come back.
Well, where do angels come from? For example, you gave us the example of the grandmother who wanted to stick around because she maybe wanted to see her grandchild born, I believe. And you said she was going to be the baby's angel. How does that happen?
I mean, in her mind, she wants to watch over the baby.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Not to be a real angel, but in her mind, she's an angel for that baby, but she's still grandma.
Where do angels fall into the big scheme of things here, Paul?
My theory is, I do Roman Catholic house blessings. I was born and raised a Catholic. I'm not a practicing Catholic. You won't find me in the Catholic Church on a Sunday.
Oh, because I was looking for you on Sunday, I couldn't find you.
I know.
And I stood up and I said, "Where's Paul?"
He's
And,
not
and,
even-
and somebody yelled, "Well, he's not dead yet. Only John and George are gone." I said, "Not the Beatles, Paul. You know, the guy, the ghost guy?" And they said, "Oh, you've got the wrong place. Sit down or leave." Okay, so I left.
Yeah, I'm not a practicing Catholic, so you won't see me in church on Sunday. But my theory on angels are basically that they are extraterrestrial. If they come from heaven, that's not Earth, so that makes them instantly an extraterrestrial. And but I believe we have these extraterrestrials who are in energy form who watch over us, and you can probably call them angels.
Interesting. That's a very interesting hypothesis, Paul.
Oh, thank you. And Rob, you want to hear a couple more places?
Oh
from,
yeah. I've got about a minute before I have to go to my break. So please give us
Oh.
one. Give us one now, and then when we come back, we can continue.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, they got the Sunny Slope Cemetery, and there they see a ghostly groundskeeper. And as he's walking along the cemetery, he walks into a shed, and when they go to the shed, there's nobody there. And a UFO, the shape of a diamond, was seen at the cemetery. And that same UFO was seen by Karen Jean Caruso Walker, who lived in Palm Springs, which isn't too far away. And she was sitting in a hot tub, and as she was watching that UFO, it shot up straight in the sky and vanished.
Wow. So, what connection is it with the lady sitting in the hot tub and the caretaker?
Oh, yeah. There's no connection.
Oh, okay. I thought there might have been.
The only connection was the cemetery that they saw a UFO the shape of a diamond.
Ah.
And Karen Jean Caruso Walker on the same night saw that UFO in the shape of a diamond, but now it was in Palm Springs. So it went from the Sunny Slope Cemetery to Palm Springs, which is about 45 miles.
All right, I got you. Thanks for clarifying that, Paul. Stand by.
Okay.
Paul, if people want to check your website out, what is it?
My website, you can actually Bing or just Google me, Paul Dale Roberts. If you want to see any of my books, just put Paul Dale Roberts books and the books will pop up.
All right, Paul. Thanks very much. X Zone Nation, Paul and I will be back on the other side of this short break as we continue here in the X Zone on the X Zone Broadcast Network on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and of course, streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Girl, you are to me all that a woman should be, and I dedicate my life to you always.
A love like yours is rare. It must have been sent from up above, and I know you'll stay this way for always. And we both know that our love will grow.
Welcome back, everyone. Paul Dale Roberts is my guest of this hour. And Paul, we were talking about other ghostly and strange, abnormal things that you have checked into. So what else is there, buddy?
Well, in Coachella Valley, okay, like I said, there's a lot of places that are haunted over there. So any of you ghost hunters out there now listening, if you have no place to investigate, Coachella Valley is the place to go. And let me tell you about the Balsecito Vallecito Station County Park, and that's in Coachella Valley. People hiking on the trails will see full body apparitions at times on the trail, like they're hiking with ghosts. They'll see a phantom stagecoach. And I've actually, one of my investigators actually witnessed a phantom stagecoach, but it wasn't in Coachella Valley. It was where the Donner Party was, in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And the Donner Party, they resorted to cannibalism because they were stuck in the snow. And one of my investigators doing an investigation over there claims up and down that he saw a wagon, a stagecoach wagon, and then it just vanished. So I believe that. I believe that in Coachella Valley that some people do witness that. And they also, too, see a ghostly horse. And animals do have spirits. They have souls. So I believe that. UFOs are also seen there. And then they got this creepy little thing they call half pint. Half pint is a midget ghost. And you can usually see him at this location, and he'll have his hands over his mouth, and he'll be giggling, and then running about, hiding behind trees, and then peeking at you. That's one of the places in Coachella Valley that's very haunted. And I got some more.
Sure.
Okay. They have a place called the Oak Tree, and a lot of bodies were found there. And you have to think Coachella Valley is a desert region. It's near the Mojave Desert. And so you had the West Coast Mafia back in the day disposing their bodies of people that they murdered by this oak tree. So and a lot of kids, high school kids, go to that location to make out. And they'll pull around, and like a hand will pop up in the ground, and it's a body buried there. And a lot of different, also too, the high school kids have seen ghosts there, and they have a ghost there called Mr. Whispers. And this ghost, like if you have your date there, you guys are ready to kiss, Mr. Whispers will come up to your ear and whisper something in your ear about your date. So that's something to watch out for, Mr. Whispers.
I've heard of the whispering pines. I've heard of the whispering breeze, but I've never heard of Mr. Whispers, who whispers sweet nothings in your ear.
Yeah. I mean, the stories just go on over there. They have another place called Captain's Anchorage, and it's by Big Bear Lake. It's a bar and restaurant. And they have a ghost there by the name of George, who loves throwing beer bottles. And many locals and many tourists have claimed up and down they've seen beer bottles fly across the bar stools and everything else and thrown at them. So that's another crazy place.
But let me ask you something, Paul. How much does the anticipation of seeing something happen in an allegedly haunted place play into the actual event? Like, how much is really preconceived and how much is actual?
Like just observing my investigators.
Yeah.
I would say about 60% are seeing things that are manifesting in their mind. Either they're good psychics that are able to pick up on that stuff, or sometimes it's their imagination. Me, okay, I've been on 2,500 investigations, and I've only seen 4 full body apparitions. So it's very rare. But this place like Coachella Valley, you got all these tourists and locals telling these stories. So are they true? The only way to find out is to actually physically go there and find out.
Let's take for example the stagecoach that I believe it was one of your investigators who saw
Right,
it.
right.
I can understand how the driver and the occupants of the stagecoach could manifest. I can understand because they were living at one time. I can understand the horses because horses are animals. Animals have spirits. But how does the wooden frame of the stagecoach itself materialize?
And that's the strange thing, Rob. There's cases where people have seen a house manifest.
Wow.
And then that house is not actually there. So there's a couple of cases where, right in Dyer Lane, close to here in Sacramento, people see a ghostly police car because a police officer died on Dyer Lane chasing somebody, and his whole vehicle is seen, and it goes up right behind your car, and then it vanishes. Also, too, in Dyer Lane, and that's another really haunted place, there's a farmer who got killed by his tractor, and that farmer and that tractor are seen sometimes in the field, and both are in spirit form. So, and there's ancient texts that say that all things harbor energy, even rocks. So,
who knows?
Rock could be a rock ghost, so yeah, it happens.
Paul, how hard has it been these days with all the electronic equipment that paranormal investigators have at their disposal? Is it easier to prove the paranormal, detect the paranormal, or was it easier when there wasn't so much technology involved?
A lot of that technology is a bunch of hooey. I only go by 2 things. One, EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon, because that's something that you can't dispute. So if I'm sitting in my car, I got the windows rolled up, I'm parked at a cemetery, and I said, is there anyone here? And I play it back, and it says, I'm right here. And that's actually happened to me, where there was nobody around me, the windows are rolled up, you couldn't hear any noise, and I did an EVP, and that ghost was sitting in the back seat of my car. That's the best kind of evidence there is. And then the other evidence that I'm talking about is if you can get an anomaly in your photograph. When you take a picture and you can show a full body apparition, or in the case of Emily, where I say, Emily, my investigator was saying, Paul, I feel drained. Well, Emily, the ghost, is known to drain the energy from the occupants. So I said, Emily, if you're listening to me, I said, kiss him on the mouth. And I take a picture. 2 other people take another picture. And there's an orb on his lips. And I said, Emily, if you're listening to me, sit on his lap. And I snap a photograph, and the orb is now hovering over his lap.
So you've got a perverted orb.
Yeah, that's something I can deem as paranormal because that's showing intelligent movement.
I have to ask you, Paul, how often do you go to graveyards and roll your windows up and talk to ghosts?
I did it a few times, and the other times I was unsuccessful. But that one cemetery is very haunted, and I just lucked out. The ghost was sitting in my back seat. And when I left the cemetery, I said, "Are you still here?" And there was nothing. As soon as I got off cemetery grounds, there was no ghost in my car.
Strange but true sometimes. Paul,
Well,
you and I have to take a commercial break in about what, 30 seconds, Craig? Okay. And once again, if you'd like to find out more about our guest tonight, X Zone Nation, all you need to do is go to your favorite search engine and type in Paul Dale Roberts, and you'll be surprised about the amount of information you'll get. I don't know about... I really wouldn't want to go into a graveyard at night and roll up my windows and talk to the ghosts, and I don't know about that. Just doesn't seem right, Paul. Where was your wife? Where was your wife?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's another story for another time. All right, Paul, we'll be right back.
I was all by myself.
I could go so many ways with this one, but I'll be nice tonight. Paul Dale Roberts is my guest, and Paul and I will return on the other side of the X Zone as we continue talking about the strange, the weird, the bizarre, and how kinky some people are on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Girl, you are to me all that a woman should be, and I dedicate my life to you always.
A love like yours is rare. It must have been sent from up above, and I know you'll stay this way forever.
Got a good reason for taking the easy way out. Got a good reason for taking the easy way out now. She was a day tripper, a one-way ticket, yeah. It took me so long to find out, and I found out.
And that was Day Tripper by the Beatles. Remember them? Who doesn't, X Zone Nation? Speaking about the Beatles, has anybody ever seen the ghost of John Lennon?
I haven't heard any stories about that. No.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah. But you know what? Jim Morrison. I've heard
Yeah.
stories that people, just your normal people, say that Jim Morrison appeared in their bedroom or appeared in the living room and consulted with them. And they even had an article about it in Rolling Stone magazine that Jim Morrison was making appearances all over the world.
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't put it past Jim Morrison to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a real cool guy. I never had the opportunity of meeting him, but from what I've read and the documentaries I've seen about him, he was a real cool guy.
Have you ever heard of Graham Parsons?
Yes.
Okay. The next one from Coachella Valley is about Graham Parsons.
Whoa.
Yeah. At the Joshua Tree Inn, Graham Parsons, who's the godfather of country rock, died in room 8 of a drug overdose. And that happened in the 1970s. And they see the full body apparition sometimes of Graham Parsons walking around. He moves items in the room 8. There's been times that he takes the blanket off the bed. Things that if you put your toothbrush in the bathroom, he'll throw it on the floor. The song Juanita, which he had something to do with, I think he wrote the song. That song you will hear in room 8, and it's coming out of nowhere. It's not coming from radio or anything. That music will play in room 8, and that's Graham Parsons.
Son of a gun. Let's talk about a couple of other celebrity spirits. How about Elvis? Has he haunted people? Does he haunt Graceland?
Oh, yes. In Graceland, they said that they've seen him walking from the living room to the kitchen and then out the back door, across his backyard,
Mm-hmm.
and into the neighboring home. So, yeah, Elvis Presley is seen. And that's one ghostly site. Then also, too, there's people who claim that they've actually talked to the spirit of Elvis Presley.
I wonder what that would be like, talking to the spirit of somebody that you really admired.
Well, you know what? I actually had to do an investigation for a documentary from 2 Fort Productions in England, in the spirit of Michael Jackson.
Ooh.
And they sent me down to Los Angeles to the theater where Michael Jackson, back in the 80s, his hair caught on fire and he was doing a Pepsi commercial.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. And the janitor was sweeping up the stage
Mm-hmm.
and collected Michael Jackson's hair and placed it into an envelope. He took that hair, sold it on eBay for a large amount of money, and the guy who bought it came to that theater as we were doing, in the spirit of Michael Jackson. Yeah, if you look it up. Yeah, as we were on that stage, they asked me to go ahead and try to summon Michael Jackson. So I did an EVP. I did a couple of them, and I got an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, of a small boy's voice, and it said, "I'm Michael," and it blew everybody's mind. So that hair,
Mm-hmm.
which was connected to Michael Jackson, his energy is around that hair. Well, I think he actually showed up at the theater. If it wasn't him, it was probably a demon.
Wow. Well, wasn't it also Richard Pryor who had his hair caught on fire?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's right, yeah.
That's right, Richard Pryor, yeah.
Why is it some people have the ability to communicate with spirits and other people, like yours truly, just can't?
Well, same here. I can't either. But they usually say that children from ages 1 to 8 have psychic abilities. And I think I had psychic abilities at my young age. And after age 8, you lose it. Some people maintain it, they keep it. And then they become psychic mediums, sensitives, or whatever. I'm one of those people that lost it. I am not a psychic medium, and the only way I can communicate with a ghost is through an EVP.
Yeah, I could never become a psychic medium because I'm very tall and I've got a few extra pounds, so I've never heard of a psychic extra large, so that kind of ruined it for me. And I just figured I may as well do a radio show about it. In all the years you've been doing this, Paul, has there anything that has just shocked the heck out of you?
Gosh. Well, the 4 full body apparitions,
Mm-hmm.
to actually see something like that blew me away. And the one I saw in Marysville was a mind blower because I was snapping pictures.
Right.
It was a 2-story house. And you saw this red orb moving from the left-hand side of the house to the right-hand side and then coming down the steps. And I was snapping pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and you can actually see it move. Then I looked up, and I saw this woman in a robe, and she was walking from the left to the right on that second floor.
Huh.
That was the woman who died in the house of alcohol poisoning, and she drowned in the bathtub. And my mind was totally blown because that was the first full body apparition I ever saw.
Was it in color or was it translucent white?
It was actually in color. Her bathrobe was sort of pinkish and normal skin color. She looked like a human.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you saw that?
I was just super excited. It's something that when I do paranormal investigations, I'm always hoping that I'm going to see something like that again. The adrenaline in my bloodstream, it was just going 100 miles an hour. It was exciting.
You know, Paul, over the years doing the show, I've talked to many paranormal investigators, and they always talk about the Waverly. You know, like, go to the Waverly. Go, you know, we did this, we did that, we did the other thing. I'm just wondering if the spirits ever get so sick and tired of people coming to where they reside.
Oh, that actually happens. Where people go to, like Preston Castle over here,
Yeah.
just because ghost adventurers or ghost hunters been there, everybody flocks over there and they want to investigate it. I mean, there's so many other places that are haunted that weren't on TV. Just because it was on TV, they want to investigate that location. And Preston Castle, you can't get any kind of evidence over there because the ghosts are so sick and tired of the tourists and the ghost hunters that come over there trying to find ghosts. They're sick of it. And I'm hearing from ghost hunters, they go, Paul, how come I can't get no evidence? Because they're sick of you guys coming over there. Leave them alone.
Have you ever heard of a ghost singing?
Yeah. There was a case that we did in Nevada. It was an opera house, and I can't think of the town right now. Oh, Virginia City. Hello. Yes, Virginia City. And as we're sitting in this opera theater, you can hear the slight voice of a woman singing opera.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, you want to hear the other places in
Sure.
Coachella
Yeah,
Valley?
we've got about a minute and a half before we go to our final break. Go ahead,
Ooh,
buddy.
Okay, Joshua Tree National Park. UFOs are seen there all the time.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yake Well. There's these ghosts called the Three Amigos. And if you encounter them, they act real excited. They're looking for gold because when they're alive, they were looking for gold. They dance around a well, so they're very happy. And one time, one of the Three Amigos was pointing to the ground, and the lady went to the ground where he was pointing and found a gold pebble.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it pays sometimes to go out to these haunted locations, especially in the old and gold area, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And one more place.
Okay.
They have the Payless Shoe Source. And shoes are sometimes flying, and is haunted by the little shoe boy. He was denied some shoes when he was living by his mother. He had a fit. He ran outside of the store and got hit by a car.
Ooh.
To this very day, that little boy haunts the Payless Shoe Source.
So the moral of the story is, if you go shopping with your mother for shoes, don't be a brat and don't run into the middle of the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Robbie, you got it.
I got it. Stand by, Paul. We've got to take our final break. And X Zone Nation, Paul Dale Roberts is my guest. Just check him out on any search engine, Paul Dale Roberts. Then we'll both be back as we wrap up hour number 1 of tonight's 2-hour show here in the X Zone. with yours truly, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network on your hometown radio and classic1220.ca, streaming around the world.
Got a good reason for taking the easy way out now. She was a day tripper, a one-way ticket, yeah. It took me so long to find out, and I found out. She's a big teaser. Got to pay your dues if you wanna see the blues, and you know it don't come easy. You don't have to shout or leave about you.
And that was Ringo Starr singing It Don't Come Easy, and that was for Paul Dale Roberts, who was a Ringo Starr fan. They were the
Thank
best,
you,
weren't they?
Rob.
Hey, no
Thank
problem, my friend. Over the years, Paul, have you seen a lot of change in the way that the paranormal community conducts itself when doing investigations, or is it the same old way, the same old way, the same old way, the same old way?
They're always looking for new gadgets. I mean, I have some investigators who will bring their Connect and everything else. I utilize those as tools, but the real evidence, like I said, is a photographic evidence or an EVP, and everything else. You know, if you're saying, hey, my temperature gauge is detecting a cold spot, there's a ghost here. No, I'm not. I don't go for that. I don't say, okay, just because there's a cold spot, there's a ghost there. Prove it to me. Get me a voice. I want to hear a disembodied voice on my recorder. Let me see a photograph of the ghost. Show me that evidence. But just don't tell me because there's a cold spot,
Right.
there's a ghost in there.
I got to ask you this question, and a lot of people may find it rather strange, odd, or even, rude, I guess. But what would happen if the place is being haunted by somebody who's deaf and dumb?
What I've observed, there was a situation where there was an autistic child that died in the house, and that autistic child, when he was alive, would not talk. But now that he's dead, I guess he's healed because he's able to communicate.
A lot of people that I've talked to over the years, Paul, say that when they dream, and this is where spirits and ghosts come in at times, I'm told, in people's dreams, that the people that they have met in life who have died at a very old age, in the dream as a ghost, they're at the prime of their life. If they had any physical deformities, those deformities are gone. Is this something that you see when investigating a haunted location, or is this just something that happens in the dreamscape?
That's what I also too heard. If they had some kind of deformity or whatever, when they die and they come back as a ghost, that deformity is gone. So I've heard that story many times before. I've had investigators and I've had people that I did investigations for who said that their relative had some kind of missing finger or whatever, but when they came back, their finger wasn't missing anymore.
As a former investigator, you were in law enforcement at one time, right?
Right.
Okay. How does the investigation that you do as a paranormal investigator differ from the investigations that you did as a member of law enforcement?
Um, it's just observing. There's surveillance. Just like when was working with the Drug Suppression Team, CID, Criminal Investigation Division in Germany, I had to do a lot of surveillance, sitting in the car and watching. And when you do an investigation, there's a lot of watching, a lot of surveillance. If someone tells me, Paul, a ghost comes out of this closet around about 8 o'clock at night, well, maybe I'm going to sit there, watch that bedroom, watch that closet for an hour, hour and a half, see if I see anything, or if I pick up anything. So there's a lot of observing, a lot of surveillance, and paying attention to the interview and look for consistency in the statement. So if the occupant is telling me something, this happened, this happened, this happened at this time of the day, it happened on this date, this time, to have them tell that story again and see if it's consistent. So see if they're lying or not.
Out of, let's say, 100 inquiries that come to you to do investigations, after you do your preliminary interview with the people who've contacted you, what do you say the percentage is that you do take compared to the percentage you don't take the case?
Oh, gosh. The ones I don't take, okay. I would say, probably about 50%.
Yeah.
Because just talking to them, I hate to use that word, but sometimes I just think they're a wacko.
Right.
I mean, it's just the story is just too crazy. The story's not consistent. It just seems like a bunch of made-up stories.
What are some of the red flags that you look for when interviewing someone?
Well, just like that one interview I did with that one lady, and she was saying I had visions of killing men. I said, how were you killing those men? She goes, with a baseball bat. And then when I looked at the other room, when I saw the goddaughter swinging a baseball bat, I knew to get out of there. So that was like one interview, big red flag.
But if you go to somebody's house and they're not swinging baseball bats around, and they don't seem to be wacky, when talking to them as you would do an interview, how would you detect, based on that interview, whether or not they're serious, whether or not there actually is an issue in their house?
Some situations that I've gone to where they said there's a demon in the house, the demons made them become hoarders.
Oh.
So, yeah. So as soon as I walked in the house, I knew they were crazy because they were hoarders. It was just a disgusting situation. I had this one couple, and they actually tore out the toilets, and they had no toilets. All they had was a hole on the floor, and they were doing their number 2 in the garage. So as soon as that happened, I was walking out the door. And you can basically just, when you're talking to them, you know that they're crazy. They say, okay, I had this one lady I was talking to. She says, I see demons in the walls in my stucco. I see demons in the carpet. Look, there's a demon right there in the carpet. You see it? And I don't see nothing.
Well, that could be just a case of pareidolia, where her mind is actually connecting the dots and filling in what she basically wants to see.
Right. And that situation when they're constantly having that pareidolia,
yeah,
it's a mental issue. I mean,
sure is.
How can you see a demon in every part of the stucco or on the carpet or whatever?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Plenty of people I speak to say they see demons all the time in Washington, D.C. and Ottawa, Canada, so I don't know.
Yeah. And I had this one guy with a big flashlight, and he says, well, if I turn on the flashlight, a demon will appear. And he turned on the flashlight and kept on hitting the beam of light on the wall over and over and over again, where he was doing it so much he was sweating because he was putting so much effort into it.
Paul, you just reminded me of a story that happened to me years ago when I first started this. So it must be 35 years ago. We went to this house to investigate the claims of a gentleman who said that he had invented a flying saucer detection system. So we get there, and the guy seems so blooming credible. I'm telling you. You know, he seemed so scientific, so precise, so pristine. Everything was, you know, he had a little lab in his house. Everything was immaculate. Lawn was cut well. Trees were trimmed. I'm telling you, this guy looked like the real McCoy. So I'm getting, we're going to see something great here. So he brings us out to his backyard. And in his backyard, he has this crate that he made with plywood. It was about 6 by 6 by 6. And he and his son take it off, and there was this contraption. And I looked at it, I said, okay, so how does it work? He said, well, I point it up to the sky, and I turn it on, and if there's any UFOs there, they blink me back. I said, okay. So he says, do you want to see? I said, oh, I'd love to see this one. So he turns it on, and these little red lights come on this thing. And I notice it has a car battery. So you've got this car battery. You've got a bunch of electronic components that aren't connected to the battery. And he's got all these little red flashing lights. He says, so what do you think? I said, well, I've been looking up, and I haven't seen anything yet. And he said, you didn't? I said, no, and the technicians that were with me from the crew, they said, Rob, we saw nothing. So I had to ask the all-important question. Where did you buy all this equipment to make this work? He put a big smile on his face, and he said, down the road at Canadian Tire. And that was that. So we went back, had a couple of good laughs, quite a few beers, and that was the end of that story. Needless to say, it wasn't written, it wasn't played, nothing, but these things do happen. Hey, Paul, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show tonight. Always a great pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to the next time when you get here with more stories of the weird, the strange, and even the sexual. Let me see, female ghost who puts her orb on the lips of your people, and also, never mind where else.
And Rob, I got the story, so yeah,
Paul,
anytime.
Take care of yourself, my friend. Thanks for joining us in Exo Nation. If you'd like to find out more about Paul and the great work that he and his group do, all you need to do is go online, check in with your local search engine, Paul Dale Roberts. It'll all come out there. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X-Zone continues, right here from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, coming to you on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca.